Away from the cave, the reflection found a battlefield. Amongst the fallen bodies, he saw a great winged demon. It stood so tall the reflection could barely see its head. The demonic soldier looked down, and its eyes glowed as it brandished many blades. "Go no further. There is nothing for you here, reflection," it stated in a deep voice that rattled the earth. "But I wish to keep going to see for myself," replied the reflection. "Then you must get past me," it calmly said, bringing its swords to bear. The reflection opened his bag and flung all the bones he had collected onto the ground. Then, with a swift move of his hand, they reformed into a giant warrior of his own. He ordered the creation to fight, and the two colossal forms clashed, shaking the very sky itself. But soon, the creature of bone stood victorious. The reflection gathered the demon's wings and continued on with the bone giant. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Spooktacular 2021. I am your host, Rodimus13, and today we are looking at the HG Blooded Orphans Gundam Marchosias. Yes, we are finally getting back into Gunpla on this channel, at least for a few more reviews. And we're starting off with this one right here, which comes from an Blooded Orphans spin-off story mobile app thing that hasn't even come out yet, oddly enough. But the kit is here, so let us look at the box first. So we have quite a nice illustration of the Gundam Marchosias. Hopefully that is being pronounced correctly, and if it's not, well, too bad. With all of its subarms deployed, with it brandishing far too many swords. And we got Gundam Marchosias in Japanese, then in English, HG logo, Iron Blooded's English logo, and blue Bandai symbol. Then over here we have some painted photos of the kit. You will find that the version that I am presenting looks quite a bit different from this one, but we'll get into that. Then over here we have the same illustration as the front. And then over here, more painted photographs as well as illustrations and a little bit of information as well as callouts. And then the usual warning information and the barcode, which they seem to no longer desire to be centered anymore. It makes Rodimus13 quite sad. And over here, same as the other side, plus the bluefin sticker. And that's enough of this. Let's toss this box aside and take a look at this actual Marquis of Hell itself. And here's the kit, all painted and assembled. Rodimus13 decided to do the assembly of these kits for me, and he apparently quite enjoys doing weathering on IBO kits, so that features quite heavily here. We'll take a closer look at that after it's off the turntable. He also changed up a couple of paint applications to suit his own desires. The V-fin in particular has been changed. And most of the paint applications were done in the service of not having to use these. A rather large sticker sheet with far too big, far too many stickers. You can see he attempted to use some of them and then decided better of it. Good for him. Alright, let's take a closer look at this now. As I mentioned before, Rodimus13 did some extensive weathering on this, as well as applying a matte top coat. So we have streaks of dirt and grime all over this, as well as attempts to make it look like paint is chipping. The V-fin has been repainted so that this sort of inner V-fin is all red. Originally it was supposed to have just red tips, which Rodimus13 said that would require some extensive masking, which he just felt like not doing. So here we are. But overall, I say he did an adequate job. These yellow details on the wings were also painted in. He said he had quite a bit of trouble with them. But there's other detail work that he wishes to point out, so I will make sure to do so as we go along. Not that I care. As for the kit itself, it's quite impressive looking, but there is a lot going on here that can interfere with the overall kit. It is based on the standard Gundam frame of the HD Iron Blooded Orphan kits, which is potentially to its detriment. There is a lot of weight on this figure, and I am uncertain if the frame can truly handle it. It's hard to tell, but the torso is actually tilted backwards, which perhaps is done on purpose because this sheath right here effectively acts as a tripod, which keeps this thing from falling over because of the weight of the backpack. This thing is quite back heavy. Even just holding it up, I can feel that. It looks good. Do not get me wrong. But all of this coming off of it can make posing and positioning rather troublesome. Articulation can also be hampered by all the excess armor that's on this thing. Moving the head is difficult because of the armor around it. Trying to be careful so I don't snap the V-fin off. And then moving this around is difficult. But you do have the standard butterfly jointed shoulders with extra movement in the bicep. But again, everything is hindered by armor. Single jointed elbow, ball socket jointed wrist, a ball joint in the torso for a rather nice ab crunch, as well as rotation. But again, it's a single ball joint, and I worry about how the weight of it can be handled on this. The skirt armor in the front is articulated, so it will come up when you kick. And you do have a double jointed knee, though that is hindered by the armor sticking off of it. You can do outward, and you do have the ankle joint that allows for quite a bit of movement. I'm just going to be careful because this is painted and do not wish to damage this. Rodimus 13 did put in quite a bit of work, and I'm not that spiteful. So, posing is possible, but the question as to whether or not it is viable, I suppose, is the question. Though I must say, there is quite a bit more to this kit than just the mobile suit itself. These wings and side skirts are actually sub-arms as well as sheaths for the many weapons that he has. If we open this up, we can pull one out. You can see there's a little grippy hand there, and we can bring out a sword. Even rotate it around so that the blade is in position. Also, Rodimus 13 did quite a bit of detail work here, putting yellow in there, as well as in red in the symbol and red on the tip of the blade. In theory, you can move this piece as well, though I do not see why you would want to, so we're just going to leave that alone. Then, on this side, we have another set of sub-arms with an identical sword. Each of these have the exact same sword, each painted roughly the same way. Now the hand on this one is not part of the actual kit. You have to take it off. And so you can just pop that back on and position it like that. So you can give this thing many, many swords. And speaking of which, you do have the main one in the back. A rather large katana-looking number. And again, extra detail work put in here. Sadly, this does not stay on very well. We're going to set that aside for now. To put this in, you'll have to remove the hand and open up the back plate there. Do that. And there you go. Which, must admit, it looks quite good in hand. He also has a shield on this arm. And if you want, you can take these off and reposition them as claw weapons. Supposedly, you can use the sheath as an actual bludgeoning weapon of some sort while attached to the blade. I think that's rather silly. Oh, and Rodimus13 says to mention that the red on the sheath here is not something that was indicated in the instructions, but he thought it should go there to go with everything else. So as you can see, you can make this thing just positively brimming with blades. I suppose the question becomes if you really should. As I said, each one houses its own set. So here's the kit all set up with all of its arms out. It's very impressive looking, but quite unwieldy, and trying to get everything to position correctly is just tiresome. This kit tries to do quite a bit with rather limited resources, and it succeeds in some points, but overall I think it exceeds its grasp. It looks good, but posing and the like is just too much of a hassle, and the weight of all of these parts just weighs down the kit and makes it even more back-heavy and cumbersome than it needs to be. The Gundam frame is not really designed for this, sadly. That being said, I think this kit gets a recommendation based solely on its looks alone. You just need to be wary of what you're getting into. If you want it to look its best, you will have to paint it. If you want it to look its best, you'll have to be careful with how you pose, otherwise it will fall over or fall apart. So, if you keep all of that in mind, you will have a good buying decision, I say. Well, I believe that wraps things up. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all those fine YouTube manipulations. Check the description below for links to my storefront where you can get official shelf space t-shirts and more. And yes, thank you again, and I'll see all of you the next time you invade my shelf space.